Hey everybody, welcome back. In this video I'm going to show you how to play the guitar solo from the song Steal Away the Night from the classic Ozzy album Blizzard of Oz, which had the great Randy Rhoads on guitar. Now I've seen people struggle quite a bit with this one, and of course one of the main reasons is because the tabs that have been circulating over the years for this one are never accurate. Okay? And I think part of the reason is many of the tabs are actually based in part on the tribute album version, the live version. So I'll make sure that I call out where I found some of those differences. But I will say that this one was a little bit tricky to transcribe, not only because of Randy's usual multi-tracking of guitars, and in some spots he played it a little bit differently when he overdubbed it, but also the way that the guitar sits in the mix. Now fortunately, somebody put a video out here on YouTube with the isolated guitar track. That was really helpful. I found that extremely helpful to transcribe this solo. So I encourage you to go out there and listen to it, and tell me if you thought I did a good job. Alright guys, with that, let's go ahead and jump on into it. Alright, here's section 1 at normal and then slow speed. Now the first thing I want to call out is normally when you see this tabbed, it will include these two notes at the beginning with some vibrato. Okay, I'm going to show you that anyway, so I'm adding it in here because you often see it, but really I think that's part of the rhythm. Because right before the solo, Randy goes, and then, okay, so I consider that part of the rhythm, but everyone else considers it part of the lead, so I'm going to add it in there anyway. So what you do there is you've got the 12th fret of the G and the 11th fret of the B played together with some vibrato. Then we're going to play the open E string. A lot of people miss this. And then you're going to play the 13th fret of the high E bent up a full step. And then 13-10 on the high E. 13-11 on the B. 12G, 13-11 B. Then you hold it a little bit and slide down. Let me play that entire part again at slow speed. Alright, that part should be pretty easy if you're going to tackle the rest of the solo, so let's just keep moving. Alright, here's section 2 at normal and then slow speed. Now if you go back and watch me play at the beginning of this video, the intro performance, I actually add in an additional note, and I'll explain why in just a second. We'll get to that in a minute. But first let me take you through this note by note. First you're going to play the 3rd fret of the B, hammer on to 4, pull off to 3. And then 6G, 3B. And then 6G, 3G. You're going to pull off from 6 to 3. So far we've got. And then you're going to play 4th fret of the A string, add some vibrato. Then you slide up to the 12th fret, slide back down. Now that's exactly what Randy did, but I wouldn't get too hung up on sliding exactly to the 12th fret. Most people won't notice if you just do some sort of slide up and down, but that's what Randy did. And then open G at the very end. That open G kind of leads into the next section, but I added it here. So at the beginning, in my performance, instead of just pulling off from the 6th fret to the 3rd fret, I did 6-3-0. The reason I did that is because when Randy overdubbed a second lead over this, he actually pulled off to open G. So one of the guitars does 6 pull off to 3, and the other does 6 pull off to G. And the G string gets held a little bit longer. So I thought I'd just combine the two in my performance and go. So you can do that if you want. So let's go ahead and play it one more time at normal and then slow speed. Alright, let's keep moving. Alright, here's section 3 at normal and then slow speed. Now this section is basically a descending lick in the G diminished scale. If you don't know the diminished scale, here it is in the key of G. Really easy to play. Notice the pattern, how it just kind of moves up the fretboard. Right? If I kept going, it would be. Basically what you're doing is if you played it on one string, you just keep moving up 3 frets. Fretboard stops, I had to bend it. But again, very easy scale to play. So I'm going to break it up into 4 little boxes. The first one's going to go like this. So in the first box, we're going to play 8th fret of B, pull off to 5, and then 6th fret of G, okay, so far. And then we're going to play 5th fret of B, 6th fret of G, pull off to 3. Let me play this box again, and watch my fingering this time. Watch out for the last 2 notes. I have to shift my hand kind of fast. If that's uncomfortable for you, experiment with different fingering. You could go like this. That's another way to do it. Just figure out what works most comfortable for you. Most people do it the first way I showed you. Now in the second box, we're going to go like this. Here it is slowly. So it's 6th fret of G, pull off to 3, 5th fret of D, okay, and then 3rd fret of G, 5th fret of D, pull off to 2nd fret. Once again, if that fingering is uncomfortable, experiment and figure out what works for you. Third box, we're going to go like this slowly. 5th fret of D, pull off to 2nd fret, 4th fret of A, okay, so far, and then 2nd fret of D, 4th fret of A, pull off to 1. So here's the third box slowly. And then here's the fourth box slowly. So you're going to do 4th fret of A, pull off to 1, 3rd fret of low E, and then 1st fret of the A string, 3rd fret of the low E, pull off to open E. So the fourth box. So here's this whole section one more time at normal and then slow speed. All right, now with section 4, we're going to have an ascending diminished lick, and it's going to go like this. Okay, now the last, couple notes there, 3 notes aren't in the diminished scale, but the rest is, okay? The last 3 kind of blend into the next section, but I wanted to kind of separate it. All right, so in the first box, we're going to play the 1st fret of the A string, hammer on to 4, pull back off to 1, and then the 3rd fret of the low E. Then in the next box, we're going to play we're basically just shifting things up, if you noticed, right? The next one, we're playing 2nd fret of the D string, hammer on to 5, pull off to 2, 4th fret of A, and then 3rd fret of G, hammer on to 6, pull off to 3, 5th fret of D, okay? Then when we move up into the 4th box, we change our fingering a little bit, which we have to do when we move to the B string, and we're going to play 5, hammer on to 8, pull off to 5, and then 6th fret of G. Then shift that up a couple frets, so you're going to play 8, 11, 8 on the B string, 9th fret of G, okay? And then on the high E string, 9, hammer on to 12, pull off to 9, 11th fret of B, okay? And then we're going to do hammer-ons and pull-offs, 9, 12, 9, 12, 9, 12, 9. And then slide down to 7. And then 10th fret B, 7th fret high E. Here's the section one more time, at normal and then slow speed. Now this is one of those sections that people always do it the wrong way. They do it the way that Randy played it on the tribute album, the live version. And going way, way back, that's how people have been tabbing it. So people just keep learning it that way, not realizing they're playing it the live way. But again, I encourage you to go back and listen to the isolated guitar track and hear it for yourself. But what they do, it's really basic. It's like 3-6-3 on the low E, and then 4-7-4 on the A, 5-8-5 on D, 6-9-6 on G, 8-11-8 on B, and then 9-12-9 on high E. And then you go into the... Okay, that's how you'll see most people play it. And that's how Randy did it live on tribute, but it's not how it's done on the record. Anyway, enough of that. Let's keep moving. All right, the next section is going to go like this at normal and then slow speed. Some funny stuff going on there toward the end. Again, I'm just trying to get it as accurate to what Randy did as possible by listening to that isolated guitar track. So in the first box, you're basically going to just do a bend up at the 10th fret of the B string, a full step. Kind of dig into that one, don't go too fast. All right, now in the second box is where we go. So what you're going to do there is 7th fret of the high E followed by 10-7 on B. And then 9th fret of G with a little pinch harmonic, bent up half step. And then 9-7 G. So far. And then we're going to play, and this is palm muted, 9th fret of A, 7th fret of D, 9th fret of A. And then 9th fret of D, followed by 9th fret of A with a pinch harmonic. And then 7-6 A. And the 9th fret D vibrato. Okay? Ninth fret D vibrato right at the end. Okay? Then the last box, and this is kind of funny because this is what you hear when you listen to the isolated guitar. You won't hear it in the regular mix. It goes like this. So what Randy did is he slid up to the 12th fret of the G string and then pulled off to the open note, which is, you can barely hear that open note. And then there's a little string scratch on the B as if he's raking up to the 17th fret of the high E, which he bends up and down. And then one more time, a little bit quicker. Okay. Add vibrato, slide down. Now you can skip all the funny little... You can skip that little part, those first 3 notes of the last box. Again, that's just what you hear when you listen to the isolated track. So here's this section one more time at normal and then slow speed. All right, let's keep moving. This next section is going to go like this. So basically what you're doing is you do a little rake up to the 2nd fret of the G string. And then you're going to take the bar down about, 1 step, okay? So it's a slow descend, and then the two little dips at the end. Now, I've actually heard people suggest that Randy did a neck bend to do this part. And that's quite possible if he was using his Les Paul. But we also know on that first album he was using the Carl Sandoval Flying V, which had a vibrato bar. And so my guess is that he was using the vibrato bar for that and not a neck dive, because it would seem kind of weird doing a neck dive with such a slow neck dive. So I think he used the whammy bar. And if you don't have a whammy bar, then you can just improvise during that part. I know a lot of people, when they play it and they don't have a bar, they'll just do stuff at the second fret. Like they might even do a bend up. They'll do something like that, which is completely different. But again, if you don't have a bar, you'll have to improvise that part. All right, let's keep moving. Okay, here's the next section, number 7, at normal and then slow speed. All right, so in the first box, we're basically going to slide up to the 7th fret of the D string, followed by open G. It's kind of hidden in the mix. Again, it's one you notice when you listen to the isolated track. You can even skip that if you want. Then in the second box, we're going to slide up to the 8th fret of the G string. Now notice that I tabbed it as if you're sliding up from the 3rd fret. That's exactly where it sounds like Randy slid up from, but I don't think that was intentional. I think he just put his hand on the fretboard and slid up, but I wanted to call that out. So don't get too hung up on that 3rd fret note. So again, slide up to the 8th fret. Then you're going to play 7 on the high E, 10 on the B, 9 on the G. Okay? 7E, 10B, 9G. And then 7B, 9, 7G. And then 8G. Okay? Then the last box, from that 8th fret note that we just played, you're going to slide up to the 12th fret. And then 10th fret of the high E, 11th fret G, slide up to 14, and then 15 of the B string, 16 G, 15 B. Okay? I've seen people play that a lot of different ways. So here's this section one more time at normal and then slow speed. All right, let's move to the final section. All right, now with this last section where we start doing the bends as the solo kind of, concludes, it sounds like Randy punched that in, and of course there's an overdub on top of it, which is a little bit different. Okay, so here's what I recommend on doing. First, you're going to play the 17th fret. Oh, and this comes in a little bit quick. It almost comes in like on top of that last note, like it starts. So anyway, you'll figure it out as you listen along. But you play the 17th fret of the high E, bend up a full step, and then another bend up at the 17th fret, but back down in vibrato. Okay? And basically, that's kind of what it does for the rest of the solo until the final bend, which is to bend up at the 17th fret, okay? Again. You keep repeating that, and then finally, a bend up at the 17th fret. Now, behind that, when Randy was doing the other guitar, he wasn't tracking with that lead I just played you. He was kind of doing like a, and then occasionally like a. So notice that when you listen, he's got two different things going on there. Okay, but I recommend just doing it the way that I just showed you. In fact, what you could do, and I often do this, is the second time it does, you want to bend twice before the up and down, okay, like this. So go back and listen to the way that I played it at the beginning, and you'll see how I did that. But really, from here on out, you can kind of do whatever you want to do, and just have fun with it. That's what most people do. All right, guys, let's wrap it up. All right, that was my video showing you how to play the guitar solo from the classic Ozzy song, Steal Away the Night. If you found it helpful or informative, I really would appreciate a thumbs up, and please hit that subscribe button if you have not done so already. And if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below, and I will attempt to answer them as time allows. Until next time, rock on.